When you hear 食べられる, you might think that means can eat. But actually, 食べられる has other meanings. Welcome to Fancy Japanese. Today's topic is verb conjugation, especially られる, such as 食べられる. When we have 食べられる, you might think that means can eat. But actually, we have two more meanings for 食べられる. 食べられる could be eaten, or somebody eats something. When we just have 食べられる, we cannot distinguish these three. But we have the way to distinguish the meaning can eat or be eaten or somebody eats something. In this video, we would like to focus on られる. We have four potential meanings when we have られる. So let's see what we have for られる. Are you ready to start? それでは始めましょう。First, らしい is passive voice, ukemi. Passive voice, ukemi, is used when the action is done to the subject. This is similar to English passive voice. Instead of saying someone wrote the book, we can say the book was written. Also, instead of saying someone invited me, we can say I was invited. So, this is focus on who or what is affected by the action. In order to make passive voice, for Godan verbs, we need verb stem plus R sounds plus reru. So, yomu, which is read, is changed to yomareru as passive voice. And for Ichidan verbs, verb stem plus rareru we need. So, taberu, which is to eat, is changed to taberareru. And for irregular verbs, suru, which is to do, and kuru, which is to come, shuru is changed to sareru, kuru is changed to korareru. So, as we can see here, we have rareru for Ichidan verbs. Taberu is changed to taberareru. So, taberareru could be eaten by somebody. Example phrase of passive voice is 先生に褒められました. We have past and polite form of られる, which is られました here. So this is I was praised by the teacher. 先生に褒められました. Another example would be ケーキを妹に食べられた. 食べられた is past form of られる. So, my cake was eaten by my sister. ケーキを妹に食べられた. Okay, let's move on to second られる. Second られる is potential form, kanou. Potential form expresses ability or possibility, meaning can do or be able to do. So instead of saying I speak, we can say I can speak blah blah blah. Or instead of saying I did, we can say I was able to do, right? Focus on the subject capacity. To make potential form, for Godan verbs, yomu is changed to yomeru. For Ichidan verbs, 食べる is changed to 食べられる. In irregular verbs, する is changed to できる, 来る is changed to 来られる. So, we can say, we have られる for Ichidan verbs for potential form as well. So, 食べられる could be eaten or can eat. Example phrase for potential form is わさびが食べられる. We have られる here. In this case, it's potential form. So I can eat wasabi. わさびが食べられる. Another one. 席を変えられますか? られますか is a question form of られる. So, can I change the seat? 席を変えられますか? Okay, let's move on to third られる. Third られる is spontaneous, jihatsu. Spontaneous describes an action or feeling that arises naturally or spontaneously, often without conscious effort. This is often used with verbs like 思う, which is to think, 感じる, which is to feel, 思い出す, to recall. The nuance is that the feeling or thought arises within the speaker. To make spontaneous form, for Godan verbs, such as 思う, 思い出す, 思う is changed to 思われる。思い出す is changed to 思い出される。So we need verb stem plus R sounds plus れる。思われる、思い出される。And for ichidan verbs, we need verb stem plus られる。感じる is changed to 感じられる。So, same as ukemi, kanou, passive and potential form, we can say, we have られる for ichidan verbs for spontaneous form too. The example phrase of this one would be, 秋を感じられる。We have られる here. And in this case, it's spontaneous. So we can say, autumn can be felt. 秋を感じられる。Honorific. sonkei. Honorific form is used to show respect to the person performing the action. It's similar to おブラになる in Japanese. For example, お越しになる、お食べになる。If you know this phrase. The subject is a person of higher status such as 社長, vice president, sensei, teacher, お客様, customer. You know, in Japan, お客様 is at high status compared to staff. So we use honorific form to customer. In order to make honorific form, for Godan verbs, we need verb stem plus rareru. So 読む is changed to 読まれる. For ichidan verbs, 食べる is changed to 食べられる. So られる we need. And for irregular verb, する is changed to なさる. 来る is changed to 来られる. So we can see, we need られる for ichidan verbs and also 来る, which is to come, for honorific form as well. Example phrase would be, 社長がお寿司を食べられる. We have られる here. In this case, this is honorific phrase, so this is the vice president eats sushi. Another phrase would be, お客様が来られます. We have られます, which is a polite form of られる. This is honorific here, so the meaning is, the customer will come. お客様が来られます. Okay, these are 4 forms that られる is used. Then, how we can judge if it's passive, potential, spontaneous, or even honorific? We have 4 ways to judge these. So, let's see. First point, we can distinguish by its particles. When we have ni as often indicates the agent in a passive sentence. So we can say, when we find ni, it's a passive phrase. And when we have ga, because ga often indicates the object of a potential verb, we can say it's a potential phrase. When we see the phrase we had before, 先生に褒められました。ケーキを妹に食べられた. In these phrases, we have ni as particles. Ni as particles. So we can say it's a passive phrase. So I was praised by the teacher. My cake was eaten by my sister. In opposite, we have わさびが食べられる. We have ga in this phrase. わさびが食べられる. Ga is normally for potential form, so we can say it's potential phrase. I can eat wasabi. And in this case, we don't have any ga, but we don't have ni either. 席を変えられますか? In this case, we can say it could be a potential form, not passive form. Can I change the seat? 席を変えられますか? Let's move on to next point. We can also distinguish by verb type. For Godan verbs, for potential form, we have verb stem plus eru, eru. So 読む to read is changed to 読める can read. On the other hand, for passive form, we need verb stem plus rareru. So 読む is changed to 読まれる as are read. So we have a difference between potential form and passive form with verb type. But unfortunately, for ichidan verbs, both potential and passive form, we have verb stem plus rareru. So 食べる to eat is changed to 食べられる for both can eat and are eaten. So, let's totally rely on context to distinguish the meaning. Okay, then let's move on to third point. As third point, distinguishing by subject. For spontaneous, the subject is often an inanimated object or concept. The action is internal or natural. On the other hand, for honorific, the subject is typically a person of higher status. For example, this phrase, 秋を感じられる. The subject is 秋, which is autumn. Autumn is inanimate, so this is spontaneous phrase. Autumn can be felt. ふるさとを思い出される. In this case, we have ふるさと as subject. ふるさと is my hometown, which is inanimated as well. So, this is also spontaneous phrase. My hometown comes to my mind spontaneously. But when we have these phrases, 社長がお寿司を食べられる. お客様が来られます. We have 社長 and お客様 as subjects. 社長 is the vice president, お客様 is the customer. These are not inanimate. These are animate and human. So, these phrases cannot be spontaneous as honorific. 社長 and お客様 is at higher status in Japan. Okay, let's move on to last points. Distinguishing by nuance and intention. Actually, this is the most important thing. As I talked before, for Godan verbs, we can distinguish by verb type because the way to make their form is different for potential form and passive form, and even for spontaneous and honorific. But especially for Ichidan verbs, the verb form is always the same. Verb stem plus rareru. So it's very difficult to judge the meaning. So, the context is the key to distinguishing between these forms, especially for Ichidan verbs. As you may know, but for passive, it's focus on what happened to the subject, and for potential, it's focus on the subject's ability. And spontaneous, it's focus on unbidden feeling or thought. And honorific, this is very unique of Japanese, but focus on showing respect. So please memorize this nuance to distinguish the meaning of rareru. So, these four, passive, potential, spontaneous, honorific. These are the potential form when we have rareru. When we have taberareru, please don't think that means can eat. Could be can eat. Well, that might have different meanings. If you have any questions, please write a comment, or if you have any phrases that you know with rareru, please write a comment so that we can learn together. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. That would be appreciated if you could like this video or subscribe this channel. Your like is very appreciated more than you think. Then, see you at the next video. Bye bye. Sayonara.